So I'm here in the evening over in Chattanooga near downtown, overlooking the river here, and they have a little park area that has some nice art sculptures in it. So came upon this one here, which I really liked, and thought it might be the Prodigal Son, which it actually is. So I think I'm gonna maybe try to sketch this thing.
Hey, can you get closer? I want to see the plaque.
You doubt me?
Me? Never.
It says it is the Prodigal Son.
I thought so.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Ray.
And I'm Ray's Figment of Imagination.
Welcome back to Ray's Art Adventure.
Episode 2.
In today's adventure, we're going to sketch a statue that we saw at the River Gallery Sculpture Garden in downtown Chattanooga.
Pulled my reference up on the screen, so we're going to be working in the studio today. And here you see I have an overview of the statue and then a close-up that I took as well, the detail. And I'm not so much concerned about what's around the statue here, but just want to have an overall view, but I like to see the detail that's going on in here. Well, the more I look at these views of the statue, I was originally going to do the whole thing here because I like some of this perspective and stuff, but really this base now is just too heavy for the rest of it. It's not really the important thing, and as I see the close-up shot that I took here, I just think this is really obviously the focal point of the subject is the father holding his son. And so I kind of like the shapes in here and how this is. So I think I'm going to focus more on this area here rather than the entire thing.
Okay, here's my little studio setup so that I could document the drawing or sketching process for you. Normally I like to sketch right on location, and we'll do that in future episodes for particular subjects.
I hope so. It is called Art Adventure, you know.
We can have an adventure inside too.
All right.
These are some of the different pens and pencils I use while sketching, but today we're going to use mainly the pencil with the kneaded eraser. Now let's get started.
You got any snacks?
Now don't you start.
Sorry.
Hush, I'm sketching.
How about some background music at least?
Okay. Now we're finally getting started here, and as you can see, I'm laying in some light lines, just kind of determining where the object, the sculpture is actually going to sit on the page, and putting in some center lines, and just kind of getting some boundary areas where I think it might exist on the paper, so to speak. So now I'm looking to put in some general shapes, again trying to just feel where that thing's going to live on the paper, make sure I'm getting my proportions right. And what you don't want to do is start at the top on the head or something and start working your way down and then discover that you don't have enough paper to finish out the drawing, and believe me, that's happened to me more than once. So it's really important, as you see here, that I'm working on just the larger shapes. The main shapes is the focus, okay, and establishing your composition and where those things are going to be at. And then as you progress, you'll add more detail as you go. But again, here's just the basic shapes, and I'm eyeing my reference and judging proportions of, how big is the head to the body, how big are the arms to the overall mass of the chest and the whole body itself. A note about the pencil that I'm using here, it's actually a solid graphite stick, so there's no wood on the handle at the outside. It's just a solid, almost tube of graphite, so to speak. So just sharpened up like a regular pencil, and it's got a full edge, which is kind of nice. Sometimes you want to use the edge sideways and create more of a broader stroke, and so it's nice to do that. Okay, now that I got the general shapes established, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the camera so we're not here all day. And you can kind of see it in fast motion, my progress a lot quicker. I think the speed is going to be 2 times.
Yeah, I just checked. It's 2 times.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer.
No problem. I got this.
Now, as you can see, I'm starting to darken some of the lines and defining the shape a little bit better. So I've got my light guide lines in a lot of areas underneath, and I'm darkening the ones that I want to keep, and then just not accenting the lighter ones. I see there I just used the kneaded eraser to kind of eliminate some of those lighter lines that were underneath. But again, looking at my reference, going back and forth, and starting to add some more detail as I progress. But I want to mention again, the details added over the basic shapes. After they're there, the detail is then added in. Once you kind of know the placement and it's in an accurate spot and the proportions are right, then you continue to add detail. A note about the kneaded eraser that you see there on my right there on the table is that's actually like a putty. It's soft and you can shape it into points or whatever shape you need to erase certain areas, as you see me doing right now. And so it's flexible, and then to clean it you actually just stretch it, kind of pull it apart and work it back and forth, and the graphite kind of falls out of it. So it stays clean and it lasts a very, very long time. And it's not abrasive on the paper, meaning it's very soft. It doesn't tear the paper like some of the harder erasers that you probably used as a kid, the pink ones, and even the gum erasers that are very, very aggressive and tear the paper. This is a very, very soft eraser, so I highly recommend you getting one if you've never used it. And again, it's called kneaded eraser, and that's Kneaded, as far as the spelling there, so you can look that up.
Hey, do you want me to spell it out on the screen for them?
If you want.
I might as well. It's not like I'm here eating snacks or anything.
Oh, geez. We're trying to do a show here.
Yeah, well, I work better on a full stomach.
Oh, go see if there's a rice cake or something around.
Rice cake? No thanks. I'm trying to cut back on cardboard.
Wait, didn't we use that joke over on Ray's other YouTube channel, Ray's A-Frame Adventure?
Yeah, but I still think it's funny.
Man, we need to get some new funny lines for this channel.
I don't think we had 2 funny lines for the last channel.
Right. Well, let's get back to it. And what happened to our music?
Oh, sorry. I'll see what I can do.
Well, as I continue sketching here, I'd like to just maybe share the story of the parable of the lost son or the prodigal son.
Oh, I love stories.
All right, here goes. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me the share of my inheritance." So the father divided his property between them. Well, not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and he set off for a distant country, and there he squandered all of his wealth in wild living.
Seen that before.
Yes, but let me finish the story. After some time, and after he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm not worthy to be called your son anymore. Just make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and he went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him, and filled with compassion for him, he ran out to his son. He threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead, and he is alive again. He was lost, and he's now found.' So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. And when, coming near the house, he heard the music and dancing, he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother became angry at this, and he refused to go in. So the father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your order. Yet you never once even gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered all of your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. my son, the father said. You are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead, and he is alive again. He was lost, and is now found.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yes, it really shows the Heavenly Father's love for us and how He wants us to have a relationship with Him. And if we just turn away from our junk and seek Him, He's always there to welcome us back in His loving arms. That really is the good news, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess as lost sheep, we've all gone astray at some point in our lives, right?
Right you are, my friend.
Does this count for church?
No.
Rats.
Okay, anyway, back to the sketching. As you can see here, I'm starting to add some tone in now to give it some shading and defining the highlights and the shadow areas. And again, just kind of working around a little bit, but in this case, I am starting to work more at the top and working down from the top and from the upper left-hand side. Part of that reason is, as I just showed you there, I'm getting graphite on my hands, which tends to smear the drawing underneath. So you kind of want to not work over areas that you've already added a lot of shading to. In a minute, I think I'm going to be actually having a little piece of paper that I put there to kind of protect the surface. But again, just showing some more detail here, creating some contrast with the fingers, and more shading. It's building those values kind of slowly. Now, keep in mind, this is a sketch. I'm not really struggling for extreme detail, and the sculpture itself is not super detailed. It doesn't have a lot of really, really fine lines to it. So I'm not trying to depict human anatomy here, per se. We're just trying to get the feel of it. And actually, what I was going to do originally, I was actually going to do this in a pen and ink drawing, and then after I started laying it out with the pencil a little bit, I thought I'm just going to continue it on the pencil. What I'd like to do maybe in the future is actually take it and do a marker color sketch, because I do like the colors, the kind of the bronze brown colors and a little bit of the blue highlights and stuff in the sky. So I might do that at some point in the future. All right.
You want me to speed it up a little bit?
Here, as I'm looking. No, let's leave it at the 2x speed. If you go too fast, you really can't get an idea of what's going on or what it takes to actually draw, in my personal opinion. So 2x speed is, enough. At least I can see what's going on with the detail and how it's applied, and gives people an idea versus just 4 times or 8 times, whatever. It's so fast you can't even see what's happening.
Well, I just didn't want anybody to get bored.
They're not bored, I hope.
Well, I could sing something.
Not necessary.
Well, I could tell a story.
Really? What'd you have in mind?
Well, since you mentioned pigs in the last story, I thought I'd do one.
I'm not really sure.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs, named Bacon, Ham, and Pork Chop.
I don't think so. Why don't we watch some more video and just listen to the music?
Okay, story killer. Have it your way.
Alright, again, progressing from top to bottom and just adding more detail as I go. Let's see, working on the back hand there, the fingers as it comes around the father's body. I discussed a little bit about the pencil before, but I'd just like to also say that this is a soft lead pencil, so it allows for dark darks and fair amount of soft lightness to it, but it's a pretty dark pencil. In other words, it's definitely a softer lead, which allows you to get those crisp blacks in there. It's not a hard pencil, so it's not great for really, really fine detail, but it gives you a wide range of tones. I guess that's why I like to use it for sketching. Pencil hardness usually ranges from a 6H, which is very hard lead, all the way down to a 6B, which is a very soft lead, and with HB being in the center of that range of scale. This pencil here probably falls in the 2 to 4B range, which is in the soft range. Here you can see I've now brought in just a scrap piece of yellow paper there just to lay under my hand so my hand doesn't smear some of the pencil underneath it. Kind of keeps the paper a little bit cleaner. I probably should have done that earlier.
Yeah, we know how messy you can be sometimes as an artist.
No argument there. Well, here's a look at the final sketch, and while I did sign it, I have a note in the drawing there that obviously gives credit to the original artist who did the sculpture. Thanks for watching, and happy sketching!